Welcome back to the channel, guys. Mike here with Money, Marriage, and Media, and we're gonna keep the conversation going. Like I said, I like to move things forward, and we're gonna jump right into it. Today, we're gonna be talking about money. Specifically, we're gonna start the conversation off with income. Um, it's pretty obvious to me that income is important, right? For both, for more so for women, it's that whole security thing, right? There's no arguing that women are definitely interested in security. For men, it becomes important because we know that women are interested in security. So how does this play out? Well, if we follow the YouTube videos, right? Women all want a man making, $100,000. I hate constantly saying that. It's six figures. That's a very general term, but it's also not necessarily true. Now, because it brings light to a certain scenario that I came across. So I spent 5 years working in financial services as a financial coach, helping people out with their finances, right? And if you believe the YouTube hype around all these videos is like the majority of guys is out here making all this money and the average man is making $50,000 a year, that's part of the way true. That's part of the truth. It's not reality, and I'm gonna explain what I mean. But today we're looking at a video. This comes from Lapeef Jr. That's the name of the channel. The owner of the channel, the creator, is actually named. He goes by Jr. And this show that we're taking a look at today is called Chic Critique. Now, the interesting thing about this channel is the show is actually hosted by a lady. Her name is Shantae, and she also has co-hosts. Now the co-hosts they're usually women, and they usually rotate in and out of. It just depends on, I guess, who's available. But this is an interesting conversation. What makes this show interesting is that this is one of the few shows that I've looked at on YouTube where they do regularly. They do what most men in the gender war say is not happening. Women are never being held accountable. What I find is interesting is that they actually do hold women accountable on this show. Now, is it the traditional way that we're thinking about? It usually is that, well, we gonna call women out on all they bad behavior? Not necessarily, because they're not here. The whole purpose of the show, from what I can see, is not to just call the negatives out on people, but the way they hold women accountable is that they will point out when something is not right. And at the basis, that's all really holding somebody accountable is. You just point out when things are not right, and you're offering solutions or what you think could be a better way to handle things. And they do offer that. And they have a lot of they have a lot of high level discussions here. And when I say that, because you're gonna hear me say that a lot, because we got to start having more of these. But what I mean by that is they're willing to peel back that surface layer and dive deeper into the concepts, into the topics. And that's one thing that I do respect about their show. But look, we're going to jump right into it. Today's discussion, like I said, is about income. So we're going to go ahead and check this out.
And
That
that
I'm
was
not saying. And I'm in California, so that's definitely not possible.
This is the problem, Rojo, right? With most of us, when we having these type of debates, we're thinking about California, we're thinking about New York, we're
But where
thinking
is
about
he at?
Florida, Miami, and shit. We're not thinking about Iowa. We're not thinking about Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? We not thinking about the middle states, bro. We're not thinking about the poor South. I used to live in a place called Fenton, Iowa. If you made $47,000 out there a year, you probably was a drug dealer. Like, straight up. I had a job working at Pioneer making 13, and that made me the shit. You
Let me ask you a
understand?
Now, let's. I want to pause it right here because, like I said, my time as a financial coach, he is 100% right. People are out here making money like you think they are. Like these, again, we talked about what the average income for the average man is, right? Between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. Yes, that's true, but that's not the whole truth. So what I want to do is we're going to look at something here because they're about to. Well, let's go ahead and play it. I'll let it play out here, and then because they're going to actually move the conversation forward to an interesting point, and we're going to stop again and go over something. So let's go.
$13 an hour made me the shit. You understand? So, but guess what? We had a 2-bedroom apartment. Our rent was $400.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It was a nice space, and the rent was $400. It wasn't no hole in the wall. It was nice. Living room, dining room, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
it was
wish.
okay.
That's impossible out here.
I
That's
wish.
what I'm saying. When we have these
you're
conversations,
like
we
getting
have
that
them under the
stuff
big
like
city.
$1,700 around here. That's 1 bedroom.
See, that's what I'm saying. And this is the problem, I think, with our women, right? When they judging the men, they saying, well, we want you to provide. I don't really think they mean provide. I think they mean spoil.
You're right.
We want you to spoil us. We don't fuck the provide. Provide ain't nothing but the roof over my head, clothes on my back, and food in my stomach. That ain't enough. I need them shoes that my girlfriend had, but I need them in a color she ain't got. I need that purse that Cardi B had in that video. My kids gotta have the Jordans every time they come out. Every week.
If she's not working, she need to understand that man's average, if he's making that average income of 47,000, he's not gonna be able to do all of that for her.
Yes.
Right.
My whole point that I
Okay. Notice how they just moved the conversation. Like they really moved the goalposts. This guy, Little Podcast, was making an example of how he was making $13 an hour where he was at, and he was able to provide. Him and his lady, I guess, were providing the lifestyle. But immediately they moved the conversation back to 47,000. Just something to pay attention to, because I thought that was interesting. That he was talking about something, and then all of a sudden it's, well, no, we need to move it back here because what you talking about. Okay, let's go ahead and let it play out a little bit longer, and I'm gonna get to. I promise, we're gonna break this down.
I was always saying when it always came down to this whole income, and because I just always kind of felt like when people were talking about people making an average income, it comes across as very judgmental. And my whole thing, like I literally had some of y'all jump down my throat in it.
Okay, nothing wrong with being judgmental. You should judge the opposite gender, especially if they're if they're a romantic interest. There's nothing wrong with judging them. That's just how we do things.
Atlanta on Saturday while we was in the bar waiting, and I'm like, I don't personally feel like that somebody that's making 47,000 should be turning their nose up at somebody else that's making what they're making. Nobody is saying stay at that level and y'all don't figure out ways to elevate each other to get more money, but you should not be turning your nose up and requiring more when you not making more. Like, just let's be.
And on top of that, as a man, it's like we.
I'll be glad when I get
We just said
premium.
in terms of, okay, I need my woman to work in order to maintain this, average lifestyle or whatever, right? That same man cannot turn around and say, oh no, I need my woman on her purpose. I need my woman having babies, multiplying and all of that shit, submitting to my word, doing what it is that I say, coming in, taking care of womanly duties, cooking, cleaning, doing everything, and she making just as much fucking money as you. So again, we have to be realistic in this aspect.
Yeah.
So whereas if you making 47 and your girl's money is required to maintain your lifestyle, you got to dial back on what those requirements of a woman being in her natural essence is, because you're not providing a natural essence environment. That's fact.
I agree.
Yeah, he's 100% right. And see, this goes back to what I was talking about in the previous video. It's all about balance, right? The reality is that we're better together than we are apart. So, yes, when you have two incomes come together, then you guys have to work out the details. You have to balance the life out. If both you guys are working full time, that means that you're gonna have to split up the rest of the responsibilities that come into marriage. And we see this a lot, especially what Trill was talking about. Shout out to Crew Seasons. So follow those guys too. They make great content. But what it boils down to is that instead of, this is my biggest gripe about when we watch relationship content on YouTube, because a lot of it's focused on giving advice. But the reality is that it's only two of y'all that are in the marriage. You need to work out how that marriage is going to work with your spouse. Y'all need to get together and figure that out. Don't take advice. You shouldn't be taking advice from anybody else, because at the end of the day, it's just y'all two that's in the marriage. It's y'all responsibility to make sure that thing works and is firing on all cylinders. So you guys have to work out who's going to be responsible for what. Are we splitting these duties? Since we both working full time, okay, well we might need to split up these house duties. So some of the time, a couple times out the week, I'm gonna cook. A couple times of the week, you gonna cook. You know, well, okay, well, whose turn is to do the laundry? Who's doing the cleaning? You got to break that down, and you shouldn't. I would very seldom take the advice of some people on YouTube. They're giving out general advice, which they have to do because so many people are watching. There's literally thousands of people, so you can only give general advice. But within the confines of a marriage, that's something that's very specific, and I would recommend that you and your spouse work that out together.
Yeah, because that's not a partnership. I mean, I'm be honest, that's not a marriage. That's a partnership. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. If she pulling in, she got an equal vote. Like I said, but the problem is that I seen individuals, you know what I'm saying? Like I had soldiers that if you look at the military pay scale, that they make that much of money.
Okay, we're gonna skip past this part.
But do they pay for housing?
That's what I was about to
They get a stipend for that.
Yes, but see, this is overtime. They don't get
Overtime. I'm salary.
no. Listen, I'm saying somebody making
I
$47,000.
missed the overtime.
That's not salary. That's an hourly wage. So now don't see. I hate when y'all try to play these little retarded games. That's an hourly wage.
You said y'all. I'm telling you, I'm salaried. I don't get overtime.
I know.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm not. But 47,000 is that salary?
That's salary, bro.
Yes.
That's how you.
And you've been out the game so long that you don't realize.
You don't even know what he's
Yeah, you haven't made 47,000 in a long time. It's
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And they got to touch. You've been making money too long.
Wait,
47,000 salary.
Shut the fuck up though. You telling me a nigga making 47K?
Okay, you guys get the idea of where this is going. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is, because Logic, he didn't understand that, right? He couldn't comprehend it. But let's peel the layer back even further and let's break the veil of mystery. Because what we're about to do now is Google, right? Now, I just Googled the average income in the state of Georgia. Now, when you guys go back and check out the clip, and they actually talk about what's the average income for city of Atlanta, because a couple of the ladies they do live there, and I mean realistically, so do I. But this is the state of Georgia, and as you can see, the average income $31,000 a year. That's a big jump. That's a big step down from 47. So, well, what are they really talking about? Okay, well, you got to remember. Atlanta is a city. Georgia is the state. Now, which has the bigger population, the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia? Now, why am I bringing this to light? Because this is something that we rarely see people talk about. This is the fact that, this is the average income. Most people are making this, 30,000, 31,000, right? Now, this is the average of both men and women. And in the state of Georgia, the average man makes about 37. The average woman makes about 26. Yeah, 26. So we've got to start having real conversations we got to start being honest about where people are at, where we are at as average people. Because again, nobody's talking about this on YouTube, but these are people actual income. And you can see it on here. It says household income, 61,000. This is one of the key reasons why I say that it's so important that we're better together, and we've got to start figuring these things out. Instead of coming with the attitude of, they don't bring enough to the table. No, the reality is that unless we're together, then we're going. There was a famous line from the show Lost. If we can't live together, we're gonna die alone. And it's a powerful statement, and that really just hit me. It just turned on like a light bulb. What it's going is that most people are not making enough money to sit here and be single. And that leads us to another clip, and I'm gonna bring that up in a second. But before I forget, check out Lapeef Jr. The show is Chic Critique, and I believe it comes on Friday evenings. subscribe to their channel because they have conversations like this all the time, and it's what I call valuetainment. It's valuable information, but it's also entertaining, though, right? So we're going to move the conversation forward, and because I really want to tackle this, we're going to go back to this average income. My suggestion to you is go to Google the average income for your state, because this is surprising stuff going on here. So let's talk about this, right? Because obviously there was a young guy, there was a brother on the panel who's living in California, right? And everybody knows you live out in Cali, high cost of living, right? Okay, well, that means people make more money, right? 33,000, 34,000. Well, how are people surviving? Now, see, that goes back to what the other gentleman was talking about, is that everywhere is not an urban, living in an urban city. Yeah, cost of living is higher there, but the incomes don't go up that much. Again, that's the whole state. Now, if most people are average and most people live outside of metropolitan areas in small towns and cities, what are we talking about here? Again, it's average. So let's look at another one. We go to New York, right? New York State. What's the average income? 35,000. This is why the household income is 67. So you're not really doing anything. Individuals, you could probably survive on that, but realistically, like if you're talking about, building a legacy, building a family, this is why it's important to have two incomes. This is literally the conversation. It's been said multiple times that we need you need two incomes, but here's the data staring us straight in the face. The average income, the state of New York, 35,000, right? So we're gonna move the conversation forward. Like I said, check out Lapeef Jr. This next clip is gonna come from guys on the Fresh and Fit podcast. Ooh, right? Controversial. Now, look, these guys have an interesting platform. I'm not going to knock them because, I started watching these guys back when they first built the studio. It looks completely different now. When I first caught wind of these guys, this apartment, you could see all the neon lights and everything. They didn't have none of that. I could see cameras hanging up and situated and stuff. Yeah, they didn't have anything. These guys started, it was just this table and two chairs and two microphones. So, big up to them for making it work. Now, we're going to go ahead and start this clip off because this is an important part of the conversation. Because remember, we're better together than we are apart. So let's go ahead and see this. Because, just for reference, the gentleman in the middle, his name is Zuby. I've got to start checking out his content because I've saw him on another channel where he had an interesting perspective, and I want to follow up with him and check out more of his content. I think he's going to be interesting person to dive into and take a look at. But let's go ahead and let's go ahead and run this, and we'll see what we're talking about here.
Are a little hard to get. The man tries harder to get you. So it's so they teach you as a woman not to need a man, so that you can be sure of yourself.
Who's they?
And you attract men. You guys are just saying they, capital T. They teach women you don't need a man and it's encouraged.
Well, that's feminism. The they is modern day feminism is what it is. That's what teaches women to have this mindset of being strong and independent. You don't need a man. When the thing is,
because I don't think most women are feminists. There's a movement of women who are feminists, but most women who encourage other women to not need a man are strictly saying emotionally, know yourself.
Yeah. No, they're feminists when it suits them. Those are the same girls that they'll sit there and say I'm equal to a man, I don't need a man. Then they'll go on a date with a guy, and then the check will come, and they'll pretend to reach for their wallet, but they really won't. The thing is this: a lot of girls are selectively feminists. That's the truth. They'll sit there and they'll be like,
okay, Myron is 100% right. Now, here's the thing. I get it because this is the definition of a modern woman. They want to hold both traditional and modern values. There's nothing wrong with that, and here's why. Men need to adapt to that. You need to be doing the same thing. One of the things that Myron has mentioned before, I can't recall, is that he wants men to be more modern and have the same mindset as women, is that you need to be, it's okay to be traditional, but the woman that you're saying, she needs to earn it. Whether you agree with that, doesn't really matter. The whole point is, again, it's always going to be about balance, right? Okay, it's hard to be a traditional woman when you got to work a full-time job. You know, that's just, women didn't do that back in the day. Again, cost of living is too high for you to be trying. If you're the man and you make enough money to do that and to support a woman and she's a stay-at-home wife, that's great. That's fantastic. That's not average people. Again, this show is about average people and how we can get together, because we do need each other. Now, what she was talking about before of how women are raised not to need a man. All right, we've heard the whole thing, independent woman, and hey, that's great. But understand what that comes with, right? As long as you understand that, I don't have a problem with it. Now, you're gonna have a harder time getting married? Yeah, because most men are not attracted to women who say that I don't need a man. Men want to feel needed, just like women do. There's no difference in the genders on that issue. There are other differences, but we'll cover those later. But let's keep it going here.
Like, I'm empowered, I'm strong and independent, blah blah blah. But they still want a man that's stronger,
but I don't think those women are feminists. They're just having to be strong and having to take care of themselves.
I just said it. They pick and choose when they want to be feminists.
In other words, they're adults. They take care of themselves. I'm not going to give you much praise for being an adult, for being able to pay your own bills. You're supposed to do that. Let's just keep going.
Just like a lot of girls pick and choose when they want to be equal.
I'm like, but I don't feel like they want to be feminists. I don't feel like the majority of women are feminists. Yeah. I think that that's a movement of a percentage of women, but most women want a man to be masculine.
I'm starting to think she's not listening, because he literally just said that, and now she's repeating it like it's a different part of the argument. So I don't know what's going on with her. She made an interesting point, but yeah, she's just repeating what he said.
We're saying they don't go all the way. They just choose it.
They're selectively feminist.
So, like, for example, you know what? I get benefit here, I'll be feminist. You know what? I don't get it over here, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
That's going to be most people. That's everybody's going to be that's just being normal. I mean, nobody wants to take on a disadvantage. That's just not happening. People are going to be true to themselves. They're going to put themselves as a priority. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just called being human. Now, when you take it to the extreme, that's when you start to have issues. But let's keep going.
No.
Yeah, the one like what you're referring to is the radical pink-haired. She's referring to like the radical pink-haired feminists that are like, you have like indoctrinated misogyny, like dumb girls that use like stupid ass buzzwords like that. But what I am saying is that I've noticed that a lot of girls, especially women that go to college, like girls that are university educated, they're feminists when they want to be, and then they're traditional women when they want to be. So they pick and choose the roles. There's the same girls that I want you to hold the door for me, I want you to be a gentleman. Then you'll say something like, make a sandwich. They're like, fuck you, make your own. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? Like, they want to get the benefits of being a lady without necessarily having to be a lady on their end to the guy.
I just feel like your existence shouldn't solely like depend on a man or a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, like me as a woman, like I don't want to know that when my man leaves me, I'm not going to know what to do. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to have that security, obviously balance it out. But just in general, like me growing up with a single mom, I saw her like take care of everything. So I always saw myself as wanting to be somebody that could take care of everything, not for need, but just because I want to fulfill like the best version of myself.
I want to make this very clear. We tell girls all the time, go ahead, chase a career, make money. But what I am saying, and and what Zuby said earlier, is that it doesn't make you sexier. Like,
okay, so what she's talking about, a lot of women exhibit this behavior. And what I'm talking about is that I saw they were raised by single moms. So I saw my mom do everything. So now they think that they want to take on that persona. What you have here is a lot of fear and lack of trust. I don't want to trust a man. I don't want to rely on a man to provide for me. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in. But again, what are we going back to? We're going to go back to these numbers here. Average income. Now, we're going to take it back to Georgia because I know the Georgia numbers. Because I live in the state of Georgia, so. Yeah. in the state of Georgia, 31,000. Now it's different. Now, if we want to break it down by men and women, again, men at 37, women are at 25. So you could say that all you want to, but the reality is that we still need each other. Because I'm gonna tell you, as somebody who spent 5 years in financial services, you're not retired. You're gonna be working to the day you die when when the average income is 31,000. That's not enough. You're gonna be working to the day you die. Retirement is non-existent. Now, again, I'm all about solutions. So what's the solution here? Well, one of the topics that we cover on this channel, marriage, getting together, combining two incomes. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about later, I'm going to have to do a video on this, is how you can, once you're together, how can you break things down to ensure that gives you the best probability of financial success. And we'll break that down later. But right now, we're going to end this video. My camera didn't cut out on me. But yeah, we're going to end this video right here. Let's see if we can get that back going. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know what happened on that. But we definitely going to end it here because I got to do some research and find out what's going on with this camera. So, yeah, again, check out Fresh and Fit Podcast. Like I said, they say some controversial stuff, but there are little nuggets in there. Again, it's like a salad bar. Take what you want, leave the rest. If one thing I will say, these guys go viral. I think like a couple times a month. So, I mean, it is what it is, though. But yeah, this is going to leave it here. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content because we definitely got it coming. Appreciate you guys. I'm Ghost to the next time.